Good morning. Welcome to Unity of San Leandro Sunday morning message. We're glad you've chosen to worship the God of your understanding with us this morning. We're glad you are here. We're glad that we are together in community, in family, in friends. This morning is a little different, and we will begin with our opening prayer. And if you have been with us before, many times you've heard us use this. And there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And so we breathe that in for a moment. Just take it in that there is only one presence and one power, not two, not three. There is only one, God the good. And for that, we are grateful. We are centered in it, and it is centered in us. And so it is. Unity publishes a little magazine, and this is what it looks like. It is a message. They publish a message every day. And in this little magazine, today's message for Sunday, December 28th, 2025, is blessings. Blessings come into my life in the most unexpected ways. The message reads, I am blessed to live each day in the presence of God. As I turn within and quiet my thoughts, I open to God within. Grounded in this presence of wisdom, love, and peace, I feel connected with the divinity of all beings. In this awareness, I become newly aware of expressions of God everywhere. I feel blessed to behold nature's beauty, perhaps snow glistening in moonlight, or the sun warming the earth, and birds soaring across the horizon. I find joy in smiling faces. I hear the laughter of friends sharing simple pleasures. I enjoy the beauty of holiday decorations hung with care and appreciate the sacredness they represent. Acts of selfless service show me God's love in action. I am grateful for these blessings and for my infinite unfolding good. And from Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 7, it reads, Blessed are those who trust in the Lord, whose trust is the Lord. So we are still in the midst of Christmas. Now, if you remember the song, The 12 Days of Christmas, my true love said to me, but you might remember the song. But the Christmas begins December 25th and ends on January 6th, on Epiphany, the day that commemorates when the three kings took gifts to the baby Jesus. So we're still in the midst of Christmas. Also, on December 26th, Dr. Maulana Karenga actually created a worship time that we call Kwanzaa. So we're also in the midst of Kwanzaa, which will go through till January 1st. It's December 26th to January 1st. And this is still called Yuletide, the time that we are in the midst of. We're in the midst of Kwanzaa. I believe Hanukkah is over, or this might be the last day. And let me share that epiphany comes from a Greek word which means appearance or manifestation. You see, Christmas is about enlightenment. It's a season that was created for us to move closer to hope and peace and love and joy. And I thought for today, because this is going to be more like a podcast today, that I would read Charles Fillmore's Invocation. This is a prayer. It's an invocation. And this is it. I am now in the presence of pure being. Matter of fact, I'm going to invite you just to close your eyes as you listen to this. I am now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit. In thy divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world according to thy perfect law. Bring into manifestation my world according to thy perfect law. So here we are in the midst of Christmas, in the midst of Kwanzaa, and they're both about the idea that a great light has come, that a great light is to be coming forth. There's a scripture from John. It's John 16. I'm looking for it. Let's see. What is it? It's John 16:33. It reads, "In the world you have tribulations, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." That's Jesus talking. In the world you have tribulations. We have problems. We have things that we're not happy about. But he says, be of good cheer. I have overcome the world, and you can overcome the world too. So when you're depressed or feeling down or feeling inadequate, I like to remember these words. This is from John 14:27. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. And from Matthew 28:20, lo, I am with you always. I was reviewing the year because, it's almost over. This is the 28th of December. And I was reviewing the year 2025, but also reviewing the last 25 years. And I was remembering and appreciating so many of our members who are no longer with us. So many changes over the years. The sale of our church building, the horrific pandemic, those who moved away in one way or another. We have an oppressive new administration. But knowing our life's experiences are mostly based on our inner thought, I hold to the idea that the best is yet to be. I'm going to recommend you do the same thing. Now, I don't remember that all the time, but I can come back to it when I start to get depressed or discouraged. We know that by being intentional and holding a vision in mind, we can bring it into reality. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. There's a simple definition for the law of mind action. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Like begets like. Now, another way we've said it is what you think about, you bring about. So if the world is to transform, and then we want things a little differently maybe, if the world is to transform, every individual must take up the call to tend to their own garden and do their own work. Every step forward affects the whole. Every time we make choices and respond to life from a place of oneness with God, the world is changed for the better. So we have our work to do when we dedicate ourselves to serving spirit in action. Miracles happen, not only in our lives, but in the lives of those we touch, and through the ripple effect, many more. As we raise our own consciousness, it's our own thinking. You know, what we think about, we bring about. If we want to change our world, we have to change our thinking. You've heard that so many times. So for our own demonstration of spirit, the consciousness of the human family rises when we rise and we change our consciousness. Marianne Williamson, a spiritual truth teacher, wrote, "Personal transformation can and does have global effects. As we go, so goes the world in us. For the world is us. The revolution that will save the world is ultimately a personal one." We just remember that divine love, divine goodness is the root of all existence, so we are to focus on that. And Emmett Fox, a great spiritual teacher, said, "All day long, the thoughts that occupy your mind, your secret place, as Jesus calls it, is a molding your destiny for good or evil. In fact, the truth is that the whole of our life's experience is but the outer expression of inner thought." Wow. Now, if that's true, we are molding our destiny all the time. We are molding our destiny for good or evil, and that the whole of our life's experiences, but the outer expression of inner thought. Wow. It's important for us to change our thoughts, wouldn't you say? How we see, whether we see the glass half empty or whether we see the glass half full. What our Christmas season is about, and now that it's December 26th, and we're still in the midst of that Christmas season that we have Kwanzaa, it's also about changing our thinking to move us from a depressed state of mind to an encouraged state of mind, to move from a hellacious state of mind to a heavenly state of mind so that we can move forward. Once upon a time, there was a samurai, a Japanese samurai warrior, who was asked by several people if there was a God and if there was a heaven or a hell. Well, he didn't know how to answer, so he decided that he would find and ask a wise old man he'd heard of. He found the sage and he asked him, "Is there a heaven and is there a hell?" And the old sage said, "You dare to speak to me, you derelict, a derelict like you, you're talking to me?" And the samurai was angered, put his hand on his sword because he was thinking he might cut off this old man's head. He asked but he decided he'd ask the man again. He asked, "Is there a heaven? Is there a hell?" And the old man says, "Begone! You dare speak to me? You are not worth my time." Samurai, in his rage, unsheaths his sword and lifts his sword, and the old man says, "There lies the source of hell." The samurai immediately falls to his knees with tears of understanding in his eyes, and the wise man says, "There lies the source of heaven." You see, we create our own heaven. We create our own hell. We can choose a consciousness of love or we can choose it not. Sometimes we don't want to let go of anger or negative thinking, but when we do, love automatically replaces them. Divine love, divine goodness is the root of all existence. You know, I find myself getting upset about our political state of affairs. And, you know, I talk to Mama about it. And she just always says to me, you have to wait. You know, she'll say, do you believe in God? You know, she does that sort of thing. Do you trust? And she said that the other night that she woke up and she was guided to read something in the Bible. And what she was guided to read, I'm going to give this to you. Oh, goodness. I have a computer here that I have it on. It's chapter Psalms, the book of Psalms, chapter 37. And it was verse 8 through the end of the chapter. That's Psalms 37, verse 8, Psalms 37, 8 through the end of the chapter. And it says, I'm going to read a little bit of it, not all of it because it's too long. But it starts off, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. For evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Ooh. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. I'm going to read a little more. The wicked plotteth against the just. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy and to slay such as be of upright conversation. That their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bow shall be broken. It's a lot longer, but the goal is to see that really they're just wait. The Psalm 37:7, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. I went, whoa, when she read that and I read that, I went, we don't have anything to worry about. We need to keep doing what we're doing, do our work that we are protesting, our writing our letters, making our phone calls, doing that sort of thing. But cease from anger, I thought was so important. Fret not thyself. Don't do anything evil, because you don't have to do anything. Their sword shall enter into their own heart. Wow. You know, January 6th is Epiphany. I find it interesting that on January 6, 2021, the last day of Christmas in 2021, there was a Capitol attack by a mob of supporters of President Trump's trying to stop the counting of the electoral votes. That was 5 years ago. 5 years ago on January 6th, on Epiphany. There was light that was shown on a group that we needed to be aware of. Epiphany commemorates the coming of the light, coming of understanding, the coming of awareness, of compassion, of love. So interesting to me. But I invite you to read Psalm 37. You might read the whole chapter, but I love that she pointed that out. And of course I'm sure it was divine. She was divinely led to that particular scripture. So I mentioned that Dr. Maulana Karenga created Kwanzaa. as an African American celebration of family, community, and culture. And it's so necessary now that our federal government is working to erase Black history and seems to be trying to eradicate Black and brown people from America. So this is a time to begin to remember who we are and what we are. This year's annual Kwanzaa theme is practicing the seven principles in dimly lit times, lifting up the light, hurrying the dawn. Wow, lifting up the light and hurrying the dawn. Dr. Karenga wrote, yes, we are living and celebrating Kwanzaa this year again in difficult, dangerous, demanding, and dimly lit times. But as the sun sets, it also rises. The sun rises, it drives away the shadows, dimness, and darkness, and lights up the world. And he says the best of our culture tells and teaches us that we must be the light that drives away the shadows, the dimness, and the darkness, and opens the way to the good world we all want and deserve. Indeed, the lessons of our history and our sense of our own humanity tell us we must defy the darkness and darkness makers that seek to dispirit and diminish us. And we are to demonstrate a radical refusal to be defeated or dispirited in any way. Following in the footsteps of our honored ancestors, we must, in the midst of the deepest darkness hanging over us, lift up the light and dare to hurry the dawn, only achieved in righteous and relentless struggle for an inclusive and shared good in the world. Our job is to continue to do our inner work and to hold the vision that the best is yet to be. The best is yet to be. Remember, what we think about, we bring about. I found an interesting story today, and it's a true story. And it happened, I believe, in like the late 1990s. And I may read this to you. It says on a recent weekend, of course, a long time ago, that's 20 years ago now, 25, 26. On a recent weekend in Atlantic City, a woman won a bucket full of quarters at a slot machine. Now, they used to use quarters and coins, but now in Las Vegas, they only use paper. In Atlantic City, they only use paper. They don't use quarters anymore. Well, she took a break from the slots for dinner with her husband in the hotel. But first, she wanted to take her quarters to her room. She said, I'll be right back and we'll go to eat. And so she carried her coin-laden bucket to the elevator. As she was about to walk into the elevator, she noticed two men already aboard. Both were Black. One of them was big, very big, an intimidating figure. The woman froze. Her first thought was, these two are going to rob me. Her next thought was, don't be a bigot. They look like perfectly nice gentlemen. But racial stereotypes are powerful and fear immobilized her. She stood and stared at the two men. She felt anxious, flustered, ashamed. She hoped they didn't read her mind, but knew or figured they did. Her hesitation about joining them on the elevator was all too obvious. Her face was flushed and she couldn't just stand there. So with a mighty effort of will, she picked up one foot and stepped forward and followed with the other foot and was on the elevator. Avoiding eye contact, she turned around stiffly and faced the elevator doors as they closed. A second passed, and then another second, and then another, and her fear increased. The elevator didn't move. Panic consumed her. My God, she thought, I'm trapped, about to be robbed. Her heart plummeted. Perspiration poured from every pore. Then one of the men said, hit the floor. Instinct told her, do what they tell you. The bucket of quarters flew upwards as she threw out her arms and collapsed on the elevator carpet. A shower of coins rained down on her. Take my money and spare me, she prayed. More seconds passed. She heard one of them say politely, ma'am, if you'll just tell us what floor you're going to, we'll push the button. The one who said it had a little trouble getting the words out. He was trying mightily to hold in a belly laugh. She lifted her head, looked up at the two men. They reached down to help her up. Confused, she struggled to her feet. When I told my man here to hit the floor, said the average-sized one, I meant that he should hit the elevator button for our floor. I didn't mean it for you to hit the floor, ma'am, he spoke genially. He bit his lip. It was obvious he was having a hard time not laughing. She thought, my God, what a spectacle I've made of myself. She was too humiliated to speak. She wanted to blurt out an apology, but words failed her. How do you apologize to two perfectly respectable gentlemen for behaving as though they were going to rob you? She didn't know what to say. The three of them gathered up the strewn quarters, refilled her bucket, and when the elevator arrived at her floor, they insisted on walking her to her room. She seemed a little unsteady on her feet, and they were afraid she might not make it down the corridor. At her door, they bid her good evening. As she slipped into her room, she could hear them roaring with laughter while they walked back to the elevator. The woman brushed herself off. She pulled herself together and went downstairs for dinner with her husband. The next morning, flowers were delivered to her room, a dozen roses. Attached to each rose was a crisp $100 bill. The card said, thanks for the best laugh we've had in years. It was signed Eddie Murphy and Michael Jordan. I love that story. I could just imagine what was going on. He said, hit the floor. They would talk about pushing the button to go to the correct floor. So, my friends, let's continue to do our inner work to hold a vision that the best is indeed yet to be. And so, with this being a little different Sunday, we invite you to join us with our Prosperity Mornings. So, for our announcements, we have Prosperity Mornings on Tuesday morning on Zoom. You go to unitysanleandro.org, click on the coffee cup, and at 9 a.m. Pacific time, you can join us with our Prosperity Mornings. It's a really good group. We've had really positive things happening. And then on Wednesday evenings, we have Mastermind Prayer at 6:30 Pacific time. You do the same thing. Go to unitysanleandro.org and click on the coffee cup. It has heart-shaped cream in it, and you can click on that. It'll bring you right into the group. Wednesday evenings, 6:30 to 7 Pacific time. This season, we will be doing our Burning Bowl service. And the Burning Bowl service will be December 31st. It'll be on Zoom. December 31st at 8 p.m. And you do the same thing. Go to unitysanleandro.org and click on the coffee cup. It'll bring you into and I invite you to make sure you bring something to write with and paper. So for the burning bowl service, it's that we want to leave what doesn't serve us and has not served us in the past. And we want to release that and embrace the new. So we invite you to join us for our burning bowl service and letters to God. And remember, that's December 31st at 8 p.m. Now, December 31st at 7 a.m. in the morning. So two things are happening December 31st. On December 31st at 7 a.m. in the morning, we also go on Zoom and we're doing the World Healing Meditation. This is one that was done by the Quartus Foundation, John Randolph Price, and we participate in it every year. And I invite you to join me in that. So we like we said, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And we're in that way of thinking that we would like to see peace on earth, goodwill towards everybody. So December 31st in the morning at 7 a.m., come on Zoom, find that coffee cup at unitysanleandro.org. And if you want to participate in the Burning Bowl service, when Letters to God, where we're releasing what we want to release and don't want to take into the new year, that's the December 31st at 8 p.m. So we invite you to have a wonderful rest of your week. And I'm looking for some music because I had some music, but I don't know where it went. It disappeared on me. So let's just turn within for a moment. I invite you to join me and to bring our human self and our divine self together. And let's do it like this, not like that. Got it? So you bring your human self, your divine self. And as we join in knowing and remembering, the light of God surrounds us, and the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let there be peace on earth. That is indeed our prayer. So have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week. God bless.